Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the final week of Halloween videos because Christmas starts next week. I can barely breathe with excitement. But first, let's finish Halloween, Claire. Come on, you've got this. This mould. Can we talk about this mould? This is a beauty of a mould. I've purchased this from Dennis, handmade by Dennis over at Resin Supplies Den on Facebook. As soon as I saw him share this photo, needed it. You know when you see something and you know that you need it? I messaged him straight away, that mould in my basket right now please. And I sent him the money and he sent me the mould. So this is not sponsored, I bought the mould myself. It is a beautiful triangle of tea light holders with a moon phases embossing. It is about as witchy Halloween as it gets. Now, I know the moon phases are moon phases, they're not necessarily specific to witches or Halloween, but it all works. It is a beauty. Okay, guess what I'm using? I decided that yes, I would use the chameleon powders. There was only one thing for this. It was either black and silver, like plain black with silver highlights, or the chameleon powders. I decided to chuck it all in, all of the chameleon powders that I felt would work most with this aesthetic. So in the middle, we have got the plum. I'm using the blue, the violet, and the gold as well. The gold is specifically for the tea light holder sections. And I just decided to put it all in, smush it all around and see what we get. And the results are pretty cool. Again, I'm not being very neat here. I'm not putting too much in, but I'm putting enough that I know it's going to cover the entire mould, the whole base of the mould. And I'm using a nice big fat fluffy brush because I know that this is going to do the best job. Next thing, we just need to smush it all around. We are starting in the middle, working our way out in a circular motion. How you do this is entirely up to you. And I was hoping to get kind of like a rainbow effect by blending all of these colours together. The thing is with chameleon powders, wherever you put them, that is where they stay. So if I put some blue down and then put gold on top, you'd never see the gold. It wouldn't break through the blue. So making sure that I've put the colours kind of equally dispersed throughout the mould was key. Otherwise, yeah, some colours could take over and some colours would never be seen. But hey, this one was really just an experiment to see what all of the colours look like together and just smushing it around. At this point in time, it probably looks a bit muddy, but it doesn't stay that way. I am going to use the Let's Resin Epoxy Resin Part A/B system, 24-hour cure time. Another beautiful crystal clear resin, like super crystal clear. But yeah, doesn't matter because I'm colouring it. I'm putting in the Vista Black Liquid Pigment. This is the black to use on the back of the Let's Resin Chameleons. I saw a comment about the intense chameleon powders. I've seen them, Wendy's used them. Let's Resin are sending me some intense chameleon powders. I just don't have them yet. So I know someone said, I think they were shocked. I think they said they were shocked that I'm not using the intense. And that's just because I don't have them yet. But I am getting them. They're on their way. So I cannot wait to try them. Now, this mould is super detailed with embossing. Now, the words, the actual moon phases are embossed. So I'm pouring really slowly. I want to make sure that that resin gets down into every little nook and cranny. Of course, let's not forget the moon images as well, because once this is done, we need to do something with all of those embossings and we need to make sure that it's perfect. We've got no big pockets around the lettering or around those moon phase images. So pouring slowly, allowing the resin to work its way throughout the mould is honestly the best advice when it comes to a mould that has a lot of detail in it. If you just pour one big dollop, the chances are you will get a lot more air trapped because the resin hasn't had a chance. It's like, whoa, calm down. Let me get in there first. Let me get in there. Okay, moment of truth. Honestly, I demolded from the back because this was just a teeny bit soft at this point. I demolded before the 24-hour period was up, for no other reason other than girl got busy. But yeah, what do you think? It is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Honestly, it is like the most bright and colourful rainbow I've ever done. All of the colours. All right, to be fair, they don't blend, but they also go together. They go together. So we have got some definite defined lines between the colours. But I think it works. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, this is around 2 hours later. I decided we are going to fill all of those embossings with white acrylic paint. At this point, you can do whatever you feel makes you happy and what makes your heart sing. I decided to go with white acrylic paint, only I realised soon after this it wasn't acrylic I was using. I was actually using gouache, and that's really not the best paint for this at all. It kind of wasn't as white as I wanted it to be, and when it came to wiping the paint back off again, it took a lot of the paint with it. So white acrylic paint is the best thing to use here. You will see a stark difference between how this is left and how it then looks, because I did go over with white thick white Arteza acrylic paint. So yeah, just make sure you use the right paint. I literally just went over and grabbed it and didn't think any more of it, and yeah, it's worked out. Now, I did this exact same technique a couple of years ago. If you've been with me that long, you might remember the Phoenix mould. It was beautiful. I did a collaboration with a mould maker, and she did recommend that once you've smushed all of your paint into all of the areas that you want your paint, that you scrape off the excess, wait for it to fully dry before you get your wet wipe and go over the surface and get rid of all the paint in the areas that you don't want paint. I would also advise the same thing, but I didn't wait. I didn't wait. I got my wet wipe out here, and I'm just trying to rub it across the wording so that I'm not dragging the paint back out again. So this is really why the advice would be to wait until your paint fully dries before wiping over with a wet wipe. And trust me, the next day after I'd done the white acrylic and I wiped it whilst dry, it was so much better. So much better. So don't be like me. If I can learn anything along the way, then I will share it with you. Now, this is so much whiter. You'll see it already. This is the white acrylic. After I'd finished wiping the next day, I'm telling you, you could barely see the gouache paint. It's almost like it had completely soaked into the resin. It hadn't, obviously, but it felt that way. Now, it is time to top coat. The choices are PVA or masking tape or your liquid latex. I prefer PVA or masking tape, but for pure speed, I decided to go with masking tape, as this means I can top coat immediately. PVA just takes a couple hours to fully dry. I just used my craft blade to cut around the edges, making sure it was super neat. And I am top coating this with the Just For You Online Crystal Clear resin. I love nothing more than top coating over chameleon and seeing those chameleon powders pop. Like, they come to life. It is unbelievable how much colour is actually in those chameleons once you put that top coat on. It is stunning. Now, close up, I know the paint job could be better. The mould is super textured in those moon phases. So if you wanted them fully painted out and opaque, then going in with a paintbrush and painting them individually with your paintbrush would give you that block opaque colour. As it stands, my paint is definitely still picking up the texture of the mould, and I am more than happy with that. Now, it was just a case of trying my best to top coat this without any pouring over the edge. But you can probably already see I've poured too much resin on. So there are rules to top coating, flat surface being one of them, and that's definitely something I want when I grow up, is a flat surface. Resin doesn't go where resin's never been, and that means usually resin will stop at the edge of your piece and it will not flow over. If your surface is flat, if you haven't poured too much resin on, there's various reasons. If you're using the right resin, if it's not too watery, usually it will stop at the edges. But as you could probably tell, I put a bit too much resin on, and boy oh boy, it just flew over the edge like Niagara Falls. So I raised it up off of the surface it was on, just to make sure it doesn't get fully wedged to the cardboard underneath. And what you see me doing here, again, it's optional, but I'm just adding a little bit of resin into each tea light holder, mainly to make the chameleon powder pop that is in those tea light holders. I was toying with the idea of putting individual foils into those tea light holders, but then I thought that's a lot of work for something that's never going to be seen. Now, I am honestly, if I'm honest with you guys, you know me, I'm not one for candles and resin. In my world, candles and resin, they don't go together. And again, that's personal preference. So I am showing you this with real tea lights in it. If your resin is heat proof enough to withstand that heat, then you definitely do you. I will personally use fake LED candles in this mold. I love it so much. This is right up my street. And also Tim's, actually, like Tim's already got a mold very similar to this, but his one has got not a mold, an actual item. He's got 5 tea light holders on his that he's got in his office, but I love it. I've got the torch on because I really want to show you the shimmer. Like when there's a light shining down, that chameleon powder is like a glitter disco. I absolutely love it. So happy I bought the mold, honestly. So if anyone is interested in a mold like this, or any mold or inlay for that matter, Dennis makes them all. He's already sent me some absolutely stunning elephant inlays. Elephants are my favourite and my absolute favourite animal, and Dennis has sent them to me as a gift to use on my channel in the near future. So if you are interested, I will link Resin Supplies Den down below. Dennis is the person you need to speak to when it comes to moulds and inlays on that site. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, see you in the next one.